Raila Amolo Odinga has broken his silence by claiming that there is conflict between the National Assembly and the Senate over the division of Revenue Amendment Bill 2024. Over the surface, that is what is seen, but in reality, what is happening is about power grab and assault on the Constitution. Let us listen in to what Raila Amolo Odinga has got to say about this.
A major standoff is currently underway in the country, pitting our two houses of parliament, the National Assembly and the Senate, against each other. On the surface, this standoff is about the division of Revenue Amendment Bill 2024. The hidden reality, however, is that this standoff is about a power grab and an assault on the Constitution that members of the National Assembly want to execute, and which will amount to a cruel betrayal of the people and an overhaul of our structure of governance. This development has been brewing for some time since the coming of the National Government Constituency Development Fund and the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, which are in the hands of members of the National Assembly. These funds give MPs the power to conceive, implement projects, and oversight them at the same time. Having managed to entrench this anomaly, members of the National Assembly are now attempting to determine the amount of money counties get, despite the clear constitutional provisions on the revenue sharing.
Just a few moments after the Catholic bishops issued their statement with their mistrust on the Ruto's regime with full of false promises, abductions, and extrajudicial killings, one statement from the Catholic bishops has received over 15 responses from the sycophants who are pro-government, and one of them is Gladys Boz-Shwaley, who has come so fiercely to defend the regime.
I want those bishops to tell us, don't say that there is killings. I want them to name the people who are killed by name, their identity card, and the place in which they were delivered their bodies. So that you can say, on this one, the government is not investigating. Yes, we accept that yes, there's been some deaths. I have been part of the movement complaining about femicides. But we don't make blanket accusations against the government. All we ask the government is, can you investigate and find out where the problem is? When you say there is rampant corruption against done by politicians, really, there is also corruption in the church. Yes, I know that recently in Bomet, there was a church leader who was arrested because he stole the money that had been raised for Harambee for building the church, and had not paid for the building materials. So I think this is, don't make societal problems and then sort of hit them onto one part of the society. I think it is the job of bishops to pray for us.
Jeremiah Kioni has also hit hard on Ruto, telling Kenyans that the only solution that they have at hand is to oust Ruto or remove Ruto out of power, since every sector is collapsing in this nation, be it the education sector, be it the agricultural sector, be it the health sector. And now he was at even the first years who joined campus and never received good education, as education in the varsity has been greatly and largely affected.
Lile limebaki Kenya hii ni kuodoa Zakayo peke yake. Kufika hapa, all public universities have lost the first semester. First years did not run. All the universities are on strike. The lecturers are not being paid. More universities are about to collapse. Yani Ruto is just a disaster. Anything he touches is a disaster. Sasa amegusa ng'ombe, hiyo disaster. Ati ng'ombe ambayo sijui, what do you call kinyesi ya ng'ombe? Inaitwa nini? Zamadi. Ati ikitoa hiyo moshi, hewa inaharibika. This guy, Mwenyezi Mungu, saidia atoke. Alitoka wapi? Can you imagine atuambia zamadi ya ng'ombe sasa ndio shida ya Kenya wote, na hiyo ndio anataka kutibu. Your Excellency, Council Msioka kuna kama. And that's why you are saying akina Matiang'i, akina Natebe, wakuje tuungane, we reverse all these things in a hurry. I thank you.
Okiya Omtata, the senator for Busia, has also added his weight by saying that the abductions that are happening are either conducted by police or state sanctioned. What is coming out clear on these is that the senators themselves are like blind to the preview that these things are happening. And I saw these even with Senator Elisha Okech, who was trying to bring these in light. Now, one thing that is common with these senators is that, hey, we are not the National Assembly, we are the Senate, we are dealing with facts, give us evidence. No, you wonder. It's only for a person who is not living in Kenya who could not tell that abduction and extrajudicial killings happened, especially during and after the Gen Z's demonstration, and more so after the June 25th occupation of parliament by the demonstrators. Let us listen in how Okiya Omtata argues and how he's interrupted with one Nandi Senator Cherargei.
Substantial evidence that avails itself to an inquisitive eye is that our abductions are being conducted either by the police or with the full knowledge of the police command. And
what is the point of order, Senator Fernandez?
Mr. Speaker, I raise understanding order 105. While I agree that the issue of abductions is a very serious issue in the country, you cannot allow Senator Okiya Omtata to get away with what he's saying by saying that the abductions that is happening within the country are either state sanctioned or police sanctioned. And talking about defunding a unit. Mr. Speaker, can the senator of Busia table evidence to show that there is complicity or the police are tolerating the abductions that is happening currently in the country, so that we can move forward? If he can table, Mr. Speaker, then we move forward, because he's a litigant. He knows in court you don't carry gossip before a court of law, Mr. Speaker. He must substantiate.
the word substantiate, it seems to be an exciting word to some people in this house. When I submitted, I said circumstantial evidence, and I pointed to the circumstantial evidence that I was saying should not be ignored. The circumstantial evidence that none of the people who have been abducted and released has been called to the police for debriefing to establish what has happened. Number two is a statement of fact, and there have even been complaints about the funding of the internal affairs unit of the police.
Which evidence?
Point number 3, the internal affairs unit has had its officers transferred, and this happened under Inspector General Kome.
Gavoni wa Mushomba also wants the standoff between the transitioning from NHIF to chief to be solved, and whatever needs to be explained to the stakeholders of this industry, because as it is, so many hospitals are not giving treatment to people who have already transitioned to chief, as there are so many things that are in a limbo. No one is understanding the real things that are happening in the social health insurance fund, and when you touch that, nobody wants to come out clean and explain from the authorities. Therefore, he says that they are not dealing with numbers, because the numbers that the members of parliament are giving in the National Assembly are so sweet to listen to, but the reality on the ground is totally different from what is happening inside the house. Let us listen in to how she argues about her case.
When I went to those hospitals, Mr. Speaker, one of the hospitals told me and confessed to me that they are owed over 200 million by the former NHIF. And therefore they have a problem. I mean, how do you tell me to continue treating patients under a new program and you've not sorted my previous debts? And I know this is a problem. Most hospitals, by the way, the ones that are rejecting patients, they are rejecting patients because they feel that honestly, somebody needed to come out very clearly and tell them, we are migrating. But are we migrating with your debts? Are we migrating with your problems that we have not sorted under former NHIF? So this is the problem, Mr. Speaker. And let us not come here and read numbers. I appreciate the numbers that have been read out here by Majority Leader, numbers read out by our Health Chair Committee, Dr. Robert Pukose. But numbers is not what our people are waiting for. From this debate, they're waiting to hear how are they going to be treated tomorrow in hospitals, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when I went to one of the hospitals, I found a patient who was withdrawn from the ward, only to go and queue out for dialysis at 6 a.m. from the ward. And I visited that hospital at 4 p.m. here in Nairobi. And I found that patient in the queues waiting. And he told me the reason why he has been waiting from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the day, it is because, Mr. Speaker, the messages that were supposed to be sent from SHA so that he can be embodied for services were not being accepted. We must tell it as it is. This new program is a total confusion, it's a total mess. Our people don't know what to do, and we must go back to the drawing board. But for now, let us withdraw these processes and go back to the original program until we are right.
Ahmed Khalif is my name for the unscripted talks here in DURB Radio. If you love content of this nature and you are watching from our YouTube channel, kindly subscribe and press notification button so anytime that we are live or we upload content of this nature, you'll be the very first person to be notified. If you're watching from our Facebook page, kindly follow our Facebook page for regular updates. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Kwa timba kali za Afrika, DURB Radio ndio mpango mzima.